Hey guys, thanks for coming back to Psycho Talk. They walk among us every single day. Your coworker, your partner, maybe even the person who raised you. They wear masks so perfectly crafted that you won't realize the truth until you've already lost yourself. Narcissists don't just hurt people, they erase them. Have you ever met someone who made you feel like the most special person in the world, only to leave you questioning your own sanity months later? Have you ever wondered why you can't seem to leave someone who treats you like you're worthless? Think about that for a second. The answer lies in one of the darkest psychological conditions ever studied. And today, we're going inside the mind of a narcissist. Let's start with something called love bombing. It sounds almost romantic, doesn't it? But make no mistake, this is psychological warfare disguised as affection. Consider the case of Sarah and David. Sarah was a successful attorney in Chicago, confident, independent. She had never been manipulated by anyone. Then she met David at a charity event in 2019. Within the first week, he sent her flowers every single day. He texted her constantly, telling her she was his soulmate, that he had never met anyone like her. By week 3, he was talking about marriage. Sarah's friends told her it was too fast, but David made her feel seen in a way no one ever had. Here's what was actually happening in Sarah's brain. Every compliment, every grand gesture, every "you're the only one who understands me" triggered a massive release of dopamine, the same chemical released by cocaine. David wasn't falling in love, he was creating a drug addict, and he was the drug. Neuroscientists at UCLA discovered that romantic love activates the same reward pathways as substance addiction. Narcissists understand this intuitively. They flood your system with validation until you physically cannot function without them. 6 months later, Sarah had quit her job, moved across the country, and lost contact with everyone who loved her. The love bombing had worked. Now, let's go darker. Once the narcissist has you hooked, they introduce something called intermittent reinforcement. This is where the real damage begins. There was a man named Marcus who grew up in Detroit with a father everyone admired. A church deacon, a little league coach, a pillar of the community. But behind closed doors, Marcus never knew which father would come home. Some nights, his dad would take him for ice cream, tell him he was proud, ruffle his hair with genuine affection. Other nights, that same man would tell Marcus he was worthless, a disappointment, that he wished Marcus had never been born. Marcus spent his entire childhood trying to earn consistent love. He became an overachiever, desperate to be perfect, hoping that if he just did enough, his father would finally love him all the time. This is the psychology of the slot machine. Random rewards create the strongest addiction. Behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner proved this decades ago with his experiments on pigeons. When rewards come unpredictably, the subject becomes obsessed with the behavior, pulling the lever again and again and again, never knowing when the jackpot will hit. Narcissistic parents use their own children as slot machines. They dispense love randomly, creating humans who spend their entire lives chasing approval they will never consistently receive. Marcus is 43 years old now. He still calls his father every Sunday, hoping this will be the conversation where his dad finally says the words he's needed to hear his whole life. Let that sink in. But there's something even more sinister than love bombing or intermittent reinforcement. Something so insidious that victims often don't realize it's happening until they've completely lost their grip on reality. It's called gaslighting, and it is psychological murder. In 2015, a woman named Elena filed for divorce from her husband of 12 years. His name was Jonathan, a respected psychiatrist in Boston. The irony of his profession would later haunt her. During their marriage, Elena began noticing small things. She would put her keys on the counter, only to find them in the freezer. She would remember conversations that Jonathan swore never happened. He would move furniture slightly, then tell her it had always been that way. At first, she thought she was stressed. Then she thought she was developing early dementia. She went to 3 different doctors, terrified she was losing her mind. She wasn't losing her mind. Her husband was stealing it from her. The term gaslighting comes from a 1944 film where a husband dims the gaslights in his home, then denies that anything has changed when his wife notices. It's designed to make victims distrust their own perception of reality. And here's the terrifying part. Research from the University of Surrey found that chronic gaslighting actually changes the brain. Victims show reduced activity in the hippocampus, the region responsible for memory formation and reality testing. The narcissist literally rewires your brain to make you dependent on their version of reality. Elena eventually recovered, but she spent 4 years in therapy learning to trust her own perceptions again. 4 years to undo what one man did to her mind. Now here's the hidden truth most people never discover, and this is going to completely change how you see everything I've just told you. Narcissists are not evil masterminds. They are broken children trapped in adult bodies. Think about that for a second. The grandiosity, the manipulation, the complete lack of empathy. It's all a defense mechanism. Deep beneath the surface of every narcissist is a wound so profound, so devastating, that they built an entire false identity just to survive it. Psychoanalyst Heinz Kohut called this the narcissistic injury. At some point in their development, usually before age 7, something happened that made them feel fundamentally worthless. Maybe they were neglected. Maybe they were told they would never be good enough. Maybe they were only loved when they performed. So they created a mask, a perfect, superior, untouchable version of themselves. And they've been defending that mask ever since, destroying anyone who threatens to expose the terrified child hiding behind it. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it explains it. And understanding this is crucial to protecting yourself. Let's dive into what's actually happening in the narcissist's brain. Neuroimaging studies from the University of Berlin revealed that individuals with narcissistic personality disorder show significantly less gray matter in the anterior insular cortex. This is the region of the brain responsible for empathy, emotional regulation, and compassion. They literally have less brain matter dedicated to caring about other people. Meanwhile, their victims show something equally disturbing. Prolonged narcissistic abuse triggers chronic activation of the amygdala, the brain's fear center. This leads to hypervigilance, anxiety disorders, and complex PTSD. Studies published in the Journal of Traumatic Stress found that survivors of narcissistic abuse show brain changes identical to combat veterans and prisoners of war. You are not being dramatic. You are not being too sensitive. Your brain is being damaged by someone who is supposed to love you. Now, I want to speak directly to you, because statistics suggest that at least one person watching this video right now is trapped in a relationship with a narcissist, and you might not even know it yet. Here are 3 warning signs you cannot ignore. First, you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells. You monitor your words, your tone, your expressions, terrified of triggering their rage or disappointment. If you feel like you need to be perfect just to be tolerated, that is not love. Second, you've started to doubt your own memories. You remember things happening one way, but they insist it happened differently. And you've started to believe them over yourself. The moment you trust someone else's memory more than your own, you have already begun to disappear. Third, you feel more alone in this relationship than you ever did when you were single. They've isolated you from friends, from family, from anyone who might validate your reality. You have no one left to ask, "Am I crazy?" And that is exactly how they want it. If any of this sounds familiar, please listen to me very carefully. It is not your job to fix them. It is not your job to heal their childhood wounds. It is not your job to sacrifice your sanity on the altar of their ego. The narcissist's damage happened long before they met you, and it will continue long after you leave. The only person you can save is yourself. And sometimes, saving yourself means walking away from someone you still love. That might be the hardest thing you ever do, but it might also be the thing that saves your life. Thanks for staying till the end. Please like and subscribe.